Her name was Maya, though no one had ever officially called her that. It was a name whispered by the wind, a secret known only to the ancient stones of the town. She was a small monkey, barely bigger than a house cat, with fur the color of the dusty earth she called home, a perfect camouflage against the harsh realities of her world. The dust clung to her fur, a constant reminder of the ground beneath her paws. Her eyes, large and brown, like polished chestnuts, held a story of many lonely days and even lonelier nights, a silent testament to a life lived on the fringes. They reflected the flickering lights of the town, each glimmer a memory. Maya lived alone, a solitary figure in a world teeming with life. In the crowded streets of a small town at the foot of the hills, a place where the air buzzed with the energy of 1,000 lives intertwined, the smells of spices and exhaust fumes mingled in the air. She knew every rooftop and alley, every hidden corner and secret passage, surviving by being quick and invisible, a ghost in the urban landscape. She moved with a grace born of necessity. Unlike the other monkeys and noisy troops by the river, who squabbled and played with carefree abandon, Maya was always on her own, an outsider looking in. She watched life from the high branches of a gulmohar tree, her sanctuary, her observation post, children flying kites, their laughter echoing in the wind, women haggling over prices, their voices sharp and animated, old men sipping tea, their faces etched with the wisdom of years. Her days were a constant search for scraps, a desperate hunt for sustenance in a world that offered little. Her nights a dance between hope and fear, a constant battle against the darkness and the unknown. The world was loud and dangerous, a cacophony of sounds and a constant threat, and Maya was just a small shadow, a fleeting presence easily overlooked, rarely noticed except to be shooed away, a nuisance to be dismissed. Yet she learned to read the town's rhythms, the subtle shifts in energy that signaled danger or opportunity, always alert, always surviving, a testament to the resilience of life in the face of adversity. Hunger was Maya's constant companion, a shadow that never truly left her side. It was a gnawing emptiness, a persistent ache that dictated her every action and colored her perception of the world. Waking her at dawn with a jolt of emptiness and lingering long after dark, a hollow reminder of the day's fruitless efforts. Sleep offered little escape, her dreams often mirroring the harsh reality of her waking hours. Each morning, she searched for food with a renewed sense of urgency, driven by the primal need to quell the persistent hunger. Drawn by the tantalizing scent of frying samosas, a fragrant promise of sustenance that often proved to be just out of reach. The aroma was a cruel reminder of what she lacked, or the fleeting hope of a dropped chapati, a discarded morsel that could mean the difference between a bearable day and a descent into weakness. Vendors guarded their stalls with vigilance, their livelihoods dependent on protecting their wares from scavenging animals. And luck, that elusive commodity, was rare. A fleeting moment of opportunity quickly snatched away by circumstance or competition. Thirst was just as cruel, a parched throat and a burning sensation that intensified the hunger pangs. The river, a potential source of relief, was too dangerous, its currents swift and unforgiving, a constant threat to her fragile existence. So Maya relied on leaky pipes, those unreliable trickles of salvation, and the unpredictable bounty of rain puddles, desperate measures in a desperate situation. She scavenged behind houses, navigating the labyrinthine alleys and hidden corners where scraps might be found. Dodging stray dogs, those territorial guardians of the streets, and boulder monkeys, rivals in the endless quest for survival. The temple, a place of reverence and offerings, sometimes offered a banana, a rare act of generosity in a world of scarcity. But she was always last in line, the smallest and weakest, often overlooked and pushed aside in the scramble for sustenance. Most days, hunger gnawed at her relentlessly, a constant reminder of her vulnerability and the precariousness of her existence, forcing her to curl up on a hidden branch, seeking solace in the quiet solitude of the trees, a temporary escape from the harsh realities of the ground. And dream of sweet mangoes, their juicy flesh a symbol of abundance and satisfaction, and full bellies, a distant memory and a fervent hope. The world was full of food, a vibrant tapestry of colors and aromas, a feast for the senses that mocked her empty stomach. But so little of it was for her, separated by invisible barriers of ownership and access, a constant reminder of her place on the margins. She learned to survive on scraps and hope, those meager offerings that sustained her body and spirit, fueling her determination to face another day. Her small victories, those fleeting moments of finding a discarded fruit or a forgotten morsel, were quickly swallowed by the next day's struggle, a constant cycle of need and fleeting relief. Hunger and thirst shaped her every move, dictating her path and influencing her decisions, a constant calculation of risk and reward. A quiet, desperate plea for relief, etched in her eyes and reflected in her weary posture, a silent communication of her constant need. Still, with every sunrise, a new dawn breaking over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of hope and possibility, she tried again, fueled by an indomitable spirit and an unwavering will to survive, a testament to the resilience of life in the face of adversity. Finding a safe place to sleep was as hard as finding food. Maya's favorite refuge was a hidden alcove behind the old clock tower, high above the dangers below. The rhythmic ticking was her lullaby, the empty streets her only company. When storms came, she hid under the railway station's tin eaves, dry but restless among the noise and diesel fumes. Every night was a gamble. Comfort meant risk, obscurity meant safety. She learned to avoid parks and open spaces after a cruel encounter with stone-throwing boys. The best shelters were the forgotten corners no one else wanted. Her life became a series of temporary hiding places, each one a small fortress against the night. Safety was never certain, but she survived by staying hidden. Loneliness weighed heavier on Maya than hunger or thirst. She watched monkey troops by the river, longing for the warmth of family and the comfort of belonging. Attempts to join were met with rejection and aggression. She was always the outsider. The pain of being unwanted was sharper than any stone. She observed humans too, families laughing, friends sharing secrets, a mother comforting her child. These moments of connection deepened her solitude. Sometimes she found fleeting companionship in a chameleon or a butterfly, small anchors in her empty days. They weren't real friends, but they offered brief comfort. Her world was silent, her need to belong unmet. Yet, she endured, finding tiny sparks of connection wherever she could. Loneliness became her shadow, but it never broke her spirit. She kept searching for a place to belong. In quiet moments, memories of another life drifted into Maya's mind. She remembered the warmth of her mother's fur, the safety of clinging to her back, and the taste of wild figs in a lush forest. The forest was a world of abundance. No locked doors, no angry vendors, just food from the trees and clear streams. The memory of losing her family was a blur of noise, panic, and waking up alone in the strange town. The scent of her mother was gone, replaced by the harsh smells of the city. These memories were both comfort and torment, a reminder of love and a contrast to her present struggle. They made her hunger sharper, her loneliness deeper. Yet she clung to them, tiny flickers of hope and belonging. They were all she had left of her family. The streets were a river of feet, and Maya learned to fear them. Hurried feet were the most dangerous. People in a rush had no patience for a small monkey in their path. She learned this the hard way, narrowly escaping a man's boot as she reached for a scrap of bread. The fear of fast-moving feet became instinct. Children were unpredictable, sometimes curious, sometimes cruel, their laughter often a prelude to a chase. Maya became an expert at moving in shadows, reading the posture and pace of humans. A relaxed gait meant safety. A hurried stride meant danger. Crossing a street was a calculated risk, every step a test of timing. Her world was mapped by safe zones and danger areas. The fear was constant, a reminder she was a trespasser in a world not her own. Still, she adapted, surviving by staying alert and unseen. Every day was a lesson in caution. One scorching afternoon, Maya perched exhausted on a high wall, watching the market below. Her usual water source had dried up, and hunger pressed in. Amid the crowd, an old woman appeared, moving slowly with a cane and a gentle presence. She paused in the shade near Maya, her eyes kind and unhurried. Unlike others, she didn't shoo Maya away. Instead, she simply looked up, her gaze soft and understanding. For a moment, they regarded each other, the lonely monkey and the gentle stranger. In that shared silence, Maya felt a tiny crack in her wall of fear. The woman offered a small, genuine smile, not of amusement, but empathy. Then she moved on, leaving Maya with a strange flutter of hope. It wasn't quite happiness, but it was a glimmer, a spark in the darkness. Maya watched, curiosity and longing stirring within her. Maya, perched high on the crumbling wall, observed the bustling marketplace below. The vibrant colors of the fruits, the cacophony of sounds, and the constant movement of people created a sensory overload. She watched, a silent observer, as life unfolded beneath her elevated sanctuary. Her gaze settled on an elderly woman, her face etched with the wisdom of years, as she carefully selected a bunch of bananas at a fruit stall, her hands gently examining each one for ripeness. The vendor, a jovial man with a booming voice, cheerfully bagged her purchase. Instead of leaving with the other shoppers, the woman turned away from the market's exit and returned to Maya's wall, her steps slow but steady, her purpose unknown. Maya watched with cautious curiosity, wondering what the woman intended to do. As the woman approached, Maya could see that her movements were gentle and deliberate, each step taken with a mindful awareness. There was no suddenness, no threatening gesture, only a quiet, respectful advance. Reaching into her bag, she looked up at Maya, her eyes meeting the monkey's wary gaze. With a slow, practiced motion, she detached a single, perfectly ripe banana from the bunch. The yellow fruit stood out against the backdrop of the weathered wall. Then, extending her arm, she held it out in silent offering, the banana presented as a peace offering, a gesture of kindness extended across the divide between species. The air hung thick with anticipation. Maya hesitated, her instincts warring within her. Fear, a constant companion, urged her to retreat further into the shadows, to reject the unknown. But hunger, a gnawing emptiness in her belly, whispered of the sweet sustenance that lay just a short distance away. The aroma of the ripe banana was intoxicating. More than anything, it was the kindness in the woman's eyes, a deep well of compassion that transcended language, that swayed Maya's decision. There was no malice, no threat, only genuine care. Slowly, cautiously, Maya crept down the wall, her small body trembling with a mixture of fear and anticipation. Each movement was deliberate, a careful negotiation between her primal instincts and the promise of kindness. With a final hesitant reach, she took the banana from the outstretched hand, her fingers brushing against the woman's skin in a fleeting moment of connection. Clutching her prize, she scurried back to her perch on the wall, her heart pounding in her chest. Safety was paramount, and the familiar height offered a sense of security. There, she began peeling the fruit with shaking fingers, her focus entirely consumed by the task at hand. The peel fell away, revealing the soft, fragrant flesh beneath. The banana was sweet, a burst of sugary goodness that flooded her senses and chased away the gnawing hunger. But beyond the physical satisfaction, the taste of kindness was even sweeter, a subtle flavor that lingered long after the last bite was swallowed. As she ate, she looked down at the woman, her eyes meeting the woman's gentle gaze. A silent acknowledgement passed between them. The woman nodded gently, a small, almost imperceptible movement, as if to say, "That's for you. You are seen. You are cared for." With a final reassuring smile, the woman turned and disappeared into the bustling crowd, swallowed by the anonymity of the marketplace. She was gone, leaving Maya with more than just a meal, more than just a full belly. It was a moment of being seen, truly seen, not as a pest or a nuisance, but as a living creature deserving of compassion. It was a moment of being cared for, a reminder that even in the harshest of environments, kindness could still bloom. The gift was simple, a single banana offered without expectation, but it changed something fundamental inside Maya, shifting her perspective, softening the edges of her fear. She clutched the empty peel in her hand, a tangible reminder of the encounter, a symbol of the unexpected kindness she had received. A feeling of warmth spread through her chest, chasing away the coldness of loneliness and despair. For the first time in a long while, a flicker of something new ignited within her. She felt hope, a fragile but persistent seed planted in the fertile ground of kindness. Maya finished the last bite of banana, the sweetness lingering on her tongue. The old woman's kindness filled her more than the fruit itself. That night, as she curled up in the clock tower, the memory of the gentle face stayed with her. For the first time in ages, she slept with a glimmer of peace instead of fear. The next morning, hunger returned, but so did hope. The world was still harsh, but now it held the possibility of kindness. Maya moved through the waking streets with a little more confidence. She returned to the market, not just for scraps, but with a wish in her heart. Perhaps she'd see the old woman again, or perhaps not. But the gift of a single banana had nourished her spirit, teaching her that even in the loneliest world, a small act of kindness could make all the difference.